It's prime time as your Chicago Bears, a.k.a. the new Monsters on the Midway, will head up to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers this Sunday afternoon at 3:25. Could this matchup determine where the Bears go for the rest of the year? We'll give you our predictions coming up. In basketball, the Chicago Bulls looks like they'll be irrelevant again for this winter season, while on the other side, the Chicago Blackhawks picked up a victory in Southern California. Yay! We'll give them as much love as the Bears and everybody else who decides to win in the city. In college football, it's championship weekend. We'll give you our predictions. And can a couple performances by a couple of quarterbacks be decided in terms of the Heisman Trophy? And we'll have the return of our girl, Miss Christine, the Queen Manika, with her weekly NFL picks. That and review of last night's Lions Cowboys showdown in Motown. All right here as hashtag Football Friday starts right now.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Keep him on the field. And this one, a drive into left center field. Going back is Churio at the wall. Get out! For Robert Jr., his fourth of the season. And the Sox take the lead 2-1.
Armstrong gets into another one. Sends Edmund back. He's watching it land in the stands. What a night from Pete Crow Armstrong. Goes wide, up the guard again. And he scores. What a play!
On Jordan Bennington, no chance at all for the Blues netminders. Connor Bedard. Wow.
Getting what a pass. Buzelis with the fade on the drive.
They're blitzing. It's picked up. Caleb throws. Middle of the field. Love will catch. Breaks away the 30. Love the 20. Love the 10. Love the end zone. Touchdown Bears.
Welcome to another hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in the living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss LaKeena McGee, which is she. I am Sidney Brown. Here, you know it's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and again, IG.
Be sure to download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We're unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you got to hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something silly, don't worry, stupid. I've forgiven LaKeena full powers to give you dumbos to Bill and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, shout out to our live game. That's LIVE Live Entertainment Game. That's checking us out live right now on our Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels at 12:21 p.m. Central Standard Time. But let's not forget much love to the replay gang. Shout out to the replay gang that's checking us out on the replay. You see our numbers going up on the replay. They're also checking us out right now, also on our Facebook and YouTube channels at Sports Zone Chicago. Don't you ever forget our motto, where we talk sports, music, or entertainment. We will provide.
We provide you with some of the best shows Second City Sports. Of course, thank you guys so much for supporting us and joining us throughout this year. I know I'm going into a little bit of synopsis here, but yeah, we're going to talk, of course, some Blackhawks. They got a nice win last night as they go 1-1 so far in their West Coast road trip. You got rivalry, not rivalry weekend, but you got championship weekend in college football as teams vie for spots in the college football playoff that will be officially announced on Sunday. Also, also a little bit of college hoops as there are some big matchups this week. We'll talk about that this weekend. Can we talk about that too? NFL week 13, so we're already week 13 in the 14, I should say, in the NFL. We got Christine Matt from KXRB joining us for the rest of the our pick'ems, and also to the big win for the Detroit as they beat Dallas last night, and so much more. But yeah, the biggest rivalry, I guess you can say, is the Bears Packers. Also, it's the oldest rivalry in the NFL among any other rivalry. There actually are a couple of rivalry games, coming up week 14 as well. Besides that, and this game originally got flexed, and now it's going to be the Fox game of the week. Of course, you got Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Ronaldo will have the call of this game coming up on Fox at 3:25. Everyone except Southern California, Arizona will get that. The other ones will get Rams and Cardinals. But yeah, this whole thing is both these teams. I guess we'll see what the Bears really are made of as they face the Packers and such. But yeah, the rivalry thing I think is interesting because in sports, especially, you could probably say however interpret it however you want because you got Bears, Packers, and of course on the college side you got Duke of North Carolina, Michigan, Ohio State. Of course, you get baseball, you got Yankees, Red Sox. And if you're a soccer person, you got the El Clasico between Real Madrid and Barcelona. Back in the day, you got the Lakers and Celtics during the 80s with Bird and Magic. And of course, you got let's go here further than that, with Ali and Frazier back in the mid 70s. So, I mean, I guess, the rivalry thing can, fans are always getting to the thick of all that stuff too. So I'm sure this week has been a lot of rivalry between Bears and Packers fans and such. I guess Matt LaFleur, took some things that Ben Johnson said, took it personally and vice versa. So it's just kind of, one of those things where I guess you can kind of make it silly and kind of make it fun at the same time. So I mean, when it comes to Bears Packers, I mean, the rivalry thing, where do you think this rivalry measures up to all the other ones that I mentioned?
Obviously, if you're a Chicago sports fan like we are, Bears Packers is up there along with Cubs Sox, even though that's a fan rivalry. But it's up there with Cubs Cardinals, Cubs Brewers now, and of course, if you're a White Sox fan like I am, of course, White Sox Twins, White Sox Tigers, and of course, White Sox Brewers for you old school fans from back in the 80s and 90s before Milwaukee switched to the National League. Of course, if you're a Blackhawks fan, it's all Detroit and Chicago always going to be a original six rival, even though Detroit's in the Eastern Conference now. Of course, you have Hawks, Nashville, Blackhawks, St. Louis Blues, and the old Minnesota North Stars from back in the day before they moved to became the Dallas Stars, which they are now. But what makes a good rivalry? Something's on the line. Pride's on the line. You mentioned bulletin board material, and of course Micah Parsons, we'll get to this in a sec. He's saying that he felt that like he's been disrespected by the Bears. I don't know why, but we'll get into that in just a second. But this Bears Packers rivalry is back in my opinion because both teams have been competitive. As we said before on this show, to you new viewers and listeners, welcome. Me and LaKeena were born in the 80s. Of course, in the 80s and up until Mike Dicker got the boot in 1992, the Bears dominated this rivalry. Of course, when Brett Favre started to ascend, along with Aaron Rodgers, the Packers have dominated the rivalry for the last 2+ decades, of course, culminating with the NFC title game here in Chicago in 2010, which I'm not going to get into, but that one still hurts as far as my core to this day. But now, since the Bears has having a surprise start to the season with Ben Johnson being the new kid on the block, Matt LaFleur has been there for the last 6-7 years, and now the Packers have been competitive. Both of these teams have been competitive at the same time. That's what makes a good rivalry, in my opinion. This game has not mattered since 2013. We all know what happened then when the Bears lost at Soldier Field for the chance to go to the playoffs. With first-year head coach at the time, Mark Trestman, and giving up 3 consecutive fourth down conversions. But in this go-around, LaKeena, it's great for Bears fans, it's great for Packers fans, but it's also great for the National Football League because you mentioned it was flexed to the late afternoon window for Fox, and you're going to have everybody and their mama watching the game. And so the Bears, as we talked about last week, and we'll get into the meats and bones about it in our next segment, the Bears proved themselves against the defending world champs on the road last week. Now against your biggest rival, it's going to be another test. But this what makes rivalry so great. Your best against your opponent's best. Let's go at it and see what happens.
This is Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. LaKeena, McGee, Sidney Brown with you talking rivalries here. Now, if you want to go a little bit more modern day individual side, you probably say Federer, Nadal, or if you want to put Djokovic in there as well with either one of them, I think that's probably one that you could probably do a more modern day. But yeah, I think that this is going to be interesting to see what both these teams are made of. I feel like because the Packers had that bad losses. You could probably see the Bears. They had the iffy start. They're They've been getting, they've gotten some breaks too. Let's be honest here. So yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see what this sort of kind of shakes out here. But yeah, I think look, it's gonna be very cold out there in the frozen tundra up at Lambeau on Sunday, and it's really gonna just depend on. Now there's some breaking news here according to Dan Wiederer. Roma Dunze, he says that his status for Sunday is very iffy. I guess what they're saying is, I guess he's been has been under the weather the last I guess few days. So again, we'll see. But yeah, I mean that's going to be if he can't go, that's going to be a big issue for the Bears and their offense. Now again, let's say the Packers have had their issues too. I mean, the Parsons thing, I mean, look, I guess, whatever gets you going, right? I mean, look, we know Jalen Johnson tends to talk a lot too, so it's really, okay, let him talk, he'll talk or whatever, as long as you back it up. I don't care what you say, as long as you don't say nothing offensive, as long as you back it up on the field, court, what have you. Well, look, you can say whatever you want, so I don't care about that. Same thing with the coaches too. I know that I guess LaFleur felt slighted on what something Ben Johnson said earlier this week. Again, whatever gets you going, whatever. But again, it's sort of one of those things where I guess, look, you're 8-3-1, Packers versus the 9-3 Bears. They host them over at Lambeau. I think this is really going to be interesting to see what team wants it more, because I think that this is going to be really a testament to who wins the NFC North.
Yeah, here's the thing. The Chicago Bears are coming in confident, and rightfully so, after beating Philadelphia the way they did on the road last Friday afternoon, and having a surprise start to the season, which no one saw coming, including both of us here sitting on this show. Everybody's kissing their ass, excuse my French, and rightfully so. But hopefully, if you're a Bears fan, you hope that the players don't get too big-headed about this. I think listening and watching their comments all week, I'm talking about the Bears players, that they understand this rivalry, and for them to get to their goal, they have to beat the Packers. They play them 2 out of the next 3 games. On the flip side, as you mentioned, for Green Bay, anything they could take, they could use to their advantage, they're going to do it. You mentioned with head coach Matt LaFleur, Micah Parsons earlier today, late yesterday, and the Packers, even though they have a winning record, let's be real, with the addition of Micah Parsons, many of their fans that expected them to have the record that the Bears have right now. So they kind of slide it right now. Let's be real. The Packers are the big brother to the Bears' little brother. And the Bears, as you mentioned, they're going to have to prove it. If they want to get to the next level, they're going to have to beat the Packers any way they can for them to get to the next level where they wanted to go to this season.
But take a really quick break. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about this. We'll go into, I guess, deep dive into that. But also we'll talk some NBA, as a big streak for LeBron has been snapped yesterday. We'll talk about that. And, the Bulls, the King of McGee City Apparel, Second City Sports in Chicago. More Bears, Packers talk and NBA right after this.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Chi. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Got it done here. Ouch! And we're gonna make sure you lit this time. Ouch! You're not gonna get me this time.
Oops. Let's try an easy one.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Hey, this is Corey McGetty, and I listen to Sean and Maya on the morning show.
Welcome back to the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. LaKeena McGee is she. Sidney Brown here is me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can find LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and Q's again at IG.
As we continue our Bears-Packers preview, and we'll get into the West Side basketball team that represents the city of Chicago in the NBA later on in this segment. If you have any questions or comments for us, especially your predictions on Bears-Packers this coming Sunday from Lambeau Field, you got to hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you.
Just what I've been watching the draw for the FIFA World Cup on my phone, and we'll get into it with Christine, our girl Christine from KXRB later in the show because it's a little bit weird, but I digress. Back on the topic here for the Packers Bears. The Bears won the last game of the season last season, and I'm sure that the Packers in Lambeau, so I'm sure the Packers are going to want to get their revenge against the Bears coming up this Sunday. And look, Jordan Love, I think, is really going to be the key here because I think he's had his moments. He had a couple of bad games. He had a bad game against the Panthers where the Packers got upset. Mm-hmm. He actually has improved the last couple of wins that they've had. Josh Jacobs, I mean, he's questionable. I know he's been limited the last couple of days in practice and such for the Packers with that knee injury, that sore knee. But Emmanuel Wilson's been really solid. He was a big factor in how the Packers were able to win last week. So I'm wondering, I'm sure if it's supposed to be Cole, so you got to think if Jacobs doesn't go, you got to think Wilson, especially with that rush defense for the Bears, still a little bit iffy at best. So he might have a big day. Christian Watson, he did not play in that last game, so he's been playing a lot better. Also, is Romeo Doubs as well. Now, the flip side, of course, is with the defense. Micah Parsons, he's going to be extra motivated coming after Mr. Caleb Williams. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Matt LaFleur has planned for Caleb Williams and that Bears offense, because I think that's really going to be the key. Which defenses can kind of sort of, I guess you can say slow down each other's offenses.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's going to be a great chess match between Matt LaFleur and Bears head coach Ben Johnson. I'll start with the Bears offensive side of the ball first. Of course, Caleb Williams did not have his best game statistically last week, but he made the big throws when he had to, including that Cole Kmet touchdown to start the fourth quarter last week, and then went at Philadelphia to basically seal it. The Bears offensive line, as we talked about, LaKeena, has been solid since the bye week. Braxton Jones out. Theo Bennett, and of course, Theo Bennett has been injured for the last couple of weeks. Ozzie Trapilla has stepped in and left tackle's position, has done a great job. Let's give credit to Drew Dahlman and Jonah Jackson and Darnell Wright as well, who's suffering from an elbow injury, which may require off-season surgery. But the run blocking has been excellent for the Chicago Bears. DeAndre Swift and Kyle Manika. I don't know if you saw that picture on social media this week. Some people are calling them the Bruise Brothers, and rightfully so. They've been bruising the opponents all year long with their running style, including at Philadelphia last week. But the key here for this Bears offense, you mentioned with that injury to Romadusa, he's also been bothered. He's been bothered by a foot injury. If he doesn't go, I think this will be a perfect opportunity for Luther Burden to step up, along with DJ Moore. But I'll focus in on Luther Burden because remember, DJ Moore in the backfield for those couple plays in the running back game to start the year. He's not great at that as people think. Luther Burden has taken his place. Luther Burden had a couple good runs last week at Philadelphia. If he starts at wide receiver this Sunday in place of Rome, I think he's going to have a great game. It's going to be tough, but I think if you can use him in multiple ways that they have been doing the last couple of weeks, I think he's going to have a breakout game. And also keep this in mind as well as we talk about the running game for the Chicago Bears. They also been great protected Caleb Williams, even though Caleb likes to scramble. It's a 50-50 shot that he's going to make a play or he's just going to keep the ball and run. The Bears at this time last year gave up around 40 sacks around this time last year on their way to giving up 68 sacks. This year, they're only giving up 18. So as much as we talk about the run game, pass protection is going to be key as well, especially with Micah Parsons, as you mentioned. He just doesn't like to stay on his side of the football. He's going to be he's going to be moving around. So I think for the Bears, how are you going to game plan him? Are you going to double team him, or are you going to run in his direction, or are you going to run away from him? Those are the $1 million questions that Mitch Johnson and his coaching staff are trying to get answered before Sunday's game.
Now, as far as, if you want to do total defense and yards allowed, well, the Packers are at the top, and that's actually a good thing. Only Houston, Cleveland, and the Los Angeles Chargers are higher than the Packers when it comes to the least yards allowed among the defense. Now, unfortunately for the Bears, as good as they've been, and they lead the league in turnovers, they're actually near the bottom when it comes to yards allowed. They've given up over 4,300 yards. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, as good as the Bears defense has been, they've had their deficiencies. So if you wonder if Jacobs or Wilson, depending if Jacobs should be a go, they can exploit. You think Matt LaFleur is going to exploit that? So for me, I think this is going to be interesting to see which Bears defense can they slow down Jordan Love? Can they force those turnovers? But also at the same time, same thing with the Packers. I mean, look, they're a defense where, like I said, again, other than Parsons, there really aren't a lot of name guys on that squad, but they've done their job when they need to. They've done, Xavier McKinney. I know he's been around for a little bit. They've made the plays where they've had to. So I think it's really going to be one of those days where I think these two are pretty evenly matched. I know it's going to be weird for some people. People might find that hard to believe, but yeah, they actually are pretty evenly matched among the defensive front. So it's really going to be interesting to see. Both can give up big plays every once in a while. So I think that this is going to be the thing where which team can make the big plays or probably not give up the big plays. I think that's a better way to say it.
You listen to Second City Sports on Chicago City. LaKeena here with you, previewing this Sunday's big game between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers from Lambeau Field. It'll be live in the living color this Sunday at 3:25 on Fox. LaKeena, I'll stick with you with regards to the defensive game plan for both these teams. First, for the Chicago Bears, yes, we talked about it all year. They are opportunistic defense when they create 2+ turnovers. 2 turnovers or more, they won all 9 games. And when they produce less than 2 turnovers, they have a losing record. So, like you said, it's just that simple. You create more than 2 turnovers, that you usually win the game. On the flip side for Green Bay, as you mentioned, Micah Parsons makes that defense that much better, and they could get after you too. And that's why I said a few years ago, Caleb Williams has improved over the last few weeks of not making that boneheaded play. Yes, that interception last week was a tip drill play for the Eagles, but outside of that, Caleb Williams, when he's gotten out of the pocket, he has taken the sack or he decided to run or throw the ball away. He has improved on that since the first few weeks of the season. And as you mentioned, Green Bay is an opportunistic defense. I give them a slight edge over Chicago's defense because of Micah Parsons. But going back to the Bears defense, even though it's an opportunistic defense, I still want to see them put quarterbacks on their asses. I know some people say, well, you can't sack the quarterback all the time. It's about pressure. It's about pressure. Yeah, that's true. But at some point, the quarterback has to go down on his backside on the turf, holding the football in his hands. I don't want to hear about his analytics BS talking about, well, you got to put pressure in his face. Duh, of course you have to do that, but I want to see the quarterback, but on the ground with the ball in his hands, losing yardage. That's what the game's all about. You can't have this recipe for success going forward without sacking the quarterback on a consistent basis.
That's true, and like I said, it's going to be, and the rushing guard is going to be a thing. I know that the Bears are like number 2 in rushing as a team, and I know that the Packers are kind of near the bottom too. But yeah, let's remember that rush defense for the Bears is not exactly stellar. So I'm wondering, like I said, whether it's Jacobs and or Wilson, this could be an opportunity for them to have a breakout game, especially on the rushing side. So for me, I really feel like this is going to be the edge here on who can like make those big plays. Like I said, who doesn't give up the big plays. And I think it's really going to be the testament to which team will win this game. Because I think for me, this is going to be one of those things where, like I said, these are 2 very evenly matched teams. So it's going to be interesting to see like which team can kind of, who's coaching. Coach is really going to be the thing here too, because I know that, Matt LaFleur, as great as he is, I know some people, give him all the credit in the world, and I think he should definitely, get all the credit. But look, Jeff Hafley, who this is his second season with Green Bay, I think he's a defensive guy, and I feel like this is going to be the thing here. I think this is going to be a testament to see if he can get Parsons and the rest of that group to put the pressure on Caleb Williams, force him to scramble. And I'm a little afraid because whenever I see Caleb scramble, my heart stops, because I think at some point you wonder if he steps on the on somebody's foot, or if he steps on the wrong way, he could tear up his knee or his Achilles, God forbid. So for me, I think it's really going to be Caleb cannot make those big mistakes like he did, because like some of the other teams they played in the last few weeks, Packers will make it play. They've done that, so they need to limit the mistakes here. And so we'll see what happens.
Okay. Evan Williams, safety of the Green Bay Packers, who wears jersey number 33. He leads the team in interceptions with 3. You mentioned Xavier McKinney. He's second on the team with 2 interceptions. Of course, on the flip side for Chicago, Kevin Byard leads the Bears in interceptions, followed by Nashawn Wright, who's having a tremendous year. I believe he was named NFC Defensive Player of the Month. So he's going to get paid this offseason, but we'll talk about that down the road. But as we talked about, LaKeena, with this Bears defense, they're opportunistic defense, and we'll go to their secondaries, as I just mentioned, with the names of Nashawn Wright and Kevin Byard. Let's not forget about Kyler Gordon, who made a big impact in last week's game against Philadelphia. Jaquan Brisker, we know about his injury history, but when he's healthy, he's one of the best cover safeties in the league. So I think Green Bay is going to have their hands full. Yes, we talk about Christian Watson. He's a good young talent whenever he's healthy, but the injury bug has been a problem for them. Romeo Dobbs has been their consistent pass catch over the last 2 or 3 years. Jalen Reed, it looks like he may play this Sunday, so that's going to be another weapon that Jordan Love is going to use as well. I think this Bears defense is ready, but I want to see them not just pressure Jordan Love. I want to see Jordan Love's ass on that turf with the ball in his hands, collecting sacks from this Bears, especially from this Bears defensive line. Now, offensively, real quick, the tight ends have been getting some love these last few weeks. Cole Kmet, who got a touchdown last week. Colston Loveland is starting to get his groove back once again. And the way that the Packers play their scheme defense, I think if the Bears, if they establish a run well early, I think those tight ends can have another big game in Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet. Because on the flip side for Green Bay, they may not need to use their tight ends because of Tucker Kraft being out for the year. But I think the Bears have a huge advantage at tight end if the running game can get off to a hot start early.
But, I think Luke Musgrave, I think, has had a couple of touchdowns since, basically he had taken over for Tucker Kraft's injury. So I'm wondering, he might be poised for a breakout game too. We've seen it happen before in this rivalry. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, like I said, who's going to be, that team that can definitely kind of get the edge here. Like I said, it's going to really depend on who makes the big plays, who doesn't give up the big plays. So this is really going to be the key here. It should be a good one up there on Sunday.
Yes, it should be a classic game, and we're all looking forward to this game. It'll be at 3:25 p.m. this Sunday on Fox. Everybody's going to be there. Tom Brady, Tom Rinaldi, Kevin Burkhardt, Aaron Andrews, and the whole crew. One last point I want to make before we move on to the Bulls and the rest of the NBA. I hope that this doesn't come down to special teams, but if it does, I'm kind of worried about Carlos Santos. I know he hit the game winner last year in the regular season finale at Green Bay. But with the way the temperature is going to be on Sunday into low to mid 20s at best, as I said before, he could kick the ball very well between 35 and 48 yards. But when it gets to the mid to high 50s, I'm not so confident. If it comes down to a game-winning field goal, if it's beyond 45 yards, I'm sorry, like you said about Caleb Williams earlier, running out the pocket, have to do like this with Cairo Santos if it's beyond 43 plus yards.
Well, to be fair, though, Brandon McManus has had his share of misses this year. So if you want to feel a little bit better about Santos, I think McManus had his issues as well. So, but again, like I said, there's going to be, you hope it doesn't come down to kicking again, but it might. So with these two teams, so we'll see what happens there. This is CFB Sports on Sports Chicago. LaKeena, McGee, St. Brown with you as we switch gears here to go to hardwood, the pro hardwood, and talk a little Bulls.
That's what we've been doing lately in the last 2 weeks.
Well, that pretty much, that pretty much covers it. That pretty much covers it. They lost again to the Nets. Okay, 113-103. But I think the bigger story, as Michael Porter Jr. For the Nets had 33 season high for him and 10 rebounds and such. But I guess the big news is that, again, depend on who you talk to, because apparently Lou Canellis, friend of the show, we had him on a long time ago, from Fox Chicago. He says that, there are other reports too, but he reported that I guess the Bulls, I guess Giannis, if the rumors come out that Giannis has said that he wants to talk to the Bucks brass about his future with the team. Now, I guess apparently a day later, a report came out saying that he inquired about the Bulls while the Bulls told him to go pound sand. I mean, and then Noah Osigwe, the young I think 19-year-old from France, who the Bulls, I should say, picked last summer. He's done for the year. So, and well, to start off with the Giannis thing, I mean, if this is true that the Bulls told him no thanks, AK should pack his office up and leave, because this is sort of like kind of definitely asinine to say the least about like, you know what, Giannis, who actually wants to come here, okay, but and then on the court they haven't been very good lately either. They've lost like 6 of the last 7, but 9 if you want to get technical. I digress. But they faced the Pacers against tonight to finish off the NBA Cup round robin. But I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? I can't.
Yeah, we talked about the Anthony Davis story on our last show on Monday. If you want to hear our thoughts about the Anthony Davis story, you can go back to our episode Monday, December 3rd. We'll have our thoughts there about Anthony Davis. Giannis Antetokounmpo, I told you he's had his injury struggles over the last few years, but he's healthy majority of the time. And I think I'm not a conspiracy theorist, even though I do play one on the show from time to time. But Giannis is currently injured. I don't know if you saw the injury, non-contact injury in their victory the other night against the Detroit Pistons. It did not look good, and that's why these stories like these are coming out right now. And as I said on our NBA preview show back in October to start the year, Giannis he's like LeBron James and some of the superstars that have been are in his position. He's keeping his options open, and there's nothing wrong with that if you go shopping for yourself. But on the other hand, if you're a teammate of his, you're looking at him, and you're like, are you really with us or against us? So it's a double-edged sword there. Now, regarding the Chicago Bulls, LaKeena, we have been begging as Bulls fans to get a big superstar in here for years. The closest you came in recent times is Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Vucevic, and Lonzo Ball. Of course, that team was number 1 in the East before Lonzo Ball's knees gave way, and it's been hell ever since. But before then, LaKeena, who has been in the recent history of the Bulls since Jordan retired in 1998, who's been the biggest star that the Bulls recruited free agency wise? Maybe Ben Wallace. And after that first year, we saw it went to hell in a handbasket. Then this year, and they traded him to Cleveland to join up with LeBron. And Ben Watson was on the downside of his career. Outside of that, of course, okay, I'll give you Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler wasn't a star yet. He became a star here, and now he's been with a few other teams becoming a multi-year all-star. But what gives the Bulls the right to reject big-time players? We haven't had a big-time player here with them since Michael Jordan in that stature, and you're gonna say, "Oh, we don't need your services." I get it that the fans packed the United Center, and I get it's great entertainment and all that, but as much as I don't want to say this, but the majority of Bulls fans are not stupid. When they see the lack of inactivity and for you and lack of aggressiveness from your front office, we're going to go back to those days, LaKeena, before COVID, when we were doing our shows downtown in the studio. We're going to go back to looking at photos again of fans being those games being half empty, and fans are not giving a damn. We're not there yet, but if this continues in the way they're performing on the court, outside of LeBron James coming here next month, and besides Derrick Rose night next month on January 24th against Boston, this team will be irrelevant whenever the Bears season ends. And if you're irrelevant in this town, you deserve it for more reasons than one.
Now, well, if you want to talk about that team that was healthy before, COVID hit, and of course, Lonzo got hurt, and that's when everything kind of, fell by the wayside. So unfortunately, I guess this is unfortunately par for the course. So as long as Bulls fans are going to United Center, or they're going to spend the money and on tickets and concessions, this is going to be a theme for the rest of whenever. So until Michael Reinsdorf comes in and says, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm sick of this. Bleep all this. And clean house. This is gonna be a thing here for the rest of the time being. So unfortunately, the Giannis news doesn't surprise me. The AD news doesn't surprise me either. So yeah, you got to do something here in order to kind of try to get the Bulls kind of talk of the town again. But again, I don't want to waste a lot of time on this because, like I said, it makes you depressing. But let's go to actual, good basketball that happened, especially last night. LeBron had a streak of 1,297 games. Now, why is that important? Well, that's the points he scored double figures. Now, he could have decided to, extend the streak, but no, he decided to make the pass to Roy Hachimura, and then he makes the game winner as the Lakers beat the Raptors, which ended up being a very entertaining game, by the way, 123-120. Austin Reeves had 44 points to lead the way for the Lakers. Of course, Luka is not there. He's back in Slovenia, waiting the birth of his second child. So that's why he's not with the team right now. But a nice win for the Lakers against a pretty right now being a pretty good Raptors squad.
I know the folks at Amazon Prime are pissed about that because the Lakers are playing the Celtics tonight, but there's other things that are more important, so the games should move on. But as we talked about, LaKeena, for the last few shows, the Lakers supporting cast has done a tremendous job with the absence of LeBron. I know LeBron James is back in the lineup now, but you're talking about Austin Reeves, Gabe Vincent, the veteran. Let's not forget about DeAndre Ayton, who they signed away from the Portland Trail Blazers early in the offseason in the summer. He's come in and done a tremendous job in the middle. And let's not forget the veteran Marcus Smart, RP, Tom Heinsohn. He's brought some stability to the Lakers bench with his defensive intensity and his veteran presence as well. So the Lakers are actually getting contributions from their veterans and from their role players. And LeBron James, as we talked about as well on our last couple of shows, LeBron James doesn't have to be the guy putting in 25, 10, and 5 every night. That's Luka Doncic's job. You come in, fill in your role, and whenever it may be, and because of his age, you're the perfect role player for this type of team. And right now, it's working.
Minnesota, I believe this is their fourth in a row. They beat the Pelicans 125-116. These are all games from last night, by the way, folks. 28 points for Julius Randle. There, Laurie had 30 as Utah beats the Nets. Boston, no trouble with Washington. Derek White had 30 points, and Tyrese Maxey hit a game winner of his own as they beat the Warriors. Philadelphia beats the Warriors 99-98. last night. Going into Wednesday, you got Dallas beating Miami. Cooper Flag had 22. Milwaukee. Speaking of Milwaukee, we talked about that. Giannis getting hurt. He's going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks. So if you're a Bucks fan, you're feeling pretty good. That's probably the best case scenario because there are rumors that he might have ruptured his Achilles, but good thing that's not the case. Houston, no trouble with Sacramento. Brooklyn, of course, we talked about that Brooklyn game against the Bulls. The Knicks, they're getting hot. They beat the Hornets. The Clippers, they needed that win desperately as they beat Atlanta. San Antonio edged out the Magic. Denver beat Indy, and Portland beat Cleveland. Denai Avila had 27 points, a career high for him in that game on Wednesday.
I want to go ask you about this, about the Chris Paul situation. Of course, he got cut in the middle of the night a couple of nights ago. You mentioned with the Clippers winning their last game. Chris Paul has some candid words about the Clippers. Head coach Tyronn Lue in that front office, led by former NBA head coach Lawrence Frank. He's been there for the last closer to a decade now. And I agree with Chris Paul. Like, you want to go to the next level, you can't be tap footing your foot around. Well, you got to be aggressive, like we talked about with the Bulls management with AK and GM Mark Eversley earlier. You got to be aggressive. You can't just let things come to you to stand do things your own way that has been working. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Now, will Chris Paul be picked up by another team? Who knows? But what he said going out the door, people may not have liked it, but he's been a veteran for the last 20 years in this game. I think he knows a thing or two about playing on winning teams. He reached the NBA Finals once in his career with Phoenix in 2021 before that team lost to Milwaukee after blow a 2-0 lead. But Chris Paul's been around for a long time. I think he knows a thing about putting the right elements together on and building the winning culture, having the right players to have a winning team.
There's just a lot of culture clashing, probably with him and with the Clippers. So I'm thinking that maybe he wasn't playing that much anyway to begin with. So I think that probably played a part as well. So I'm thinking that probably played a bigger part in what his comments than anything else. So I guess Coach Lue wasn't talking to him for like the past several weeks. So I'm just like, okay, so there's a lot more going on here than what's intended. So I think the Clippers want to try and move on from this. Like I said, we'll see if CP does get picked up by somebody. I think he will. I think he wants to, especially since it's going to be his last year. He definitely wants to retire a winner. So I'm sure he's going to want to go to a contender. But again, will teams want to deal with that, especially also that's been coming out about all this stuff. But we'll have to wait and see.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. LaKeena here with you, talking Bulls in the NBA. We have a few minutes left. LaKeena, I'll get your two thoughts on these two teams. The Golden State Warriors, of course, they've been without Steph Curry over the last week or so. Hopefully he'll be back soon. But I want to get your take first about the Knicks and the Celtics from Tuesday night. It was the game of the night on NBC from coast to coast. Of course, the Knicks started off hot early, but the Boston Celtics came through. Jaylen Brown with a season high in terms of points. Derek White came in and did his job. All the Celtic role players, their young role players, are starting to play their part. Do you think the Boston Celtics are finally starting to turn the corner? I know you mentioned it with the Knicks earlier. They bounced back in their next game, but with the Celtics, watching them the other night, it looks like they're starting to start having some things turn around for them. Even though they're still going to be without Jason Tatum for this year, it looks like their role players are starting to find their spots.
Yeah, they're 12-9 right now as we're recording this. It's going to be interesting to see, it looks like Brown stepping up, White stepping up, Pritchard's doing what he can. Simons, who they just picked up, you got to think that he's getting more comfortable at that offense. So yeah, it's really going to depend and hinge on those role players coming up because, like you said, Taylor's is gone for the whole season. So it's going to be interesting to see. They're number 5 right now. So I'm wondering, can they try to figure 13-9? I should say. I know they won a couple of nights ago, but I'm wondering could they perhaps maybe figure. Look, I don't know if they're going to be up there for a top spot in the East, but they could definitely be right there, in the bottom part between the 4 and the 7 range, so that they can kind of at least get into the playoffs and perhaps maybe make some noise.
Yep. And of course, as I mentioned, Steph Curry has been out with an injury for the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors have not won a game so far this week. Hopefully, they need Steph Curry back in the lineup for them to do what they did last year after they picked up Jimmy Butler from the trade deadline. The Orlando Magic, it looks like they finally started to turn around, as we mentioned on our show last Monday. Of course, they beat the Bulls this past Monday. Their defense, talking about team defense, has improved. You saw that on Monday, especially against Chicago. Jamal Mosley, as I said, he's a sneaky candidate for Coach of the Year. Pablo Banchero has been now. Hopefully, when he returns to the lineup, the rest of that Magic core stays intact. I think this team can take off. We still have a little more time because we're a quarter way into the season. But if and when Orlando gets healthy, I think they can really make some noise in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, word is that Banchero will be back for their game tonight against Miami. So I think they're definitely going to need him. They want to get to that top 4 or 5 spot in the East like they were last year. So yeah, look, Wagner's been doing his thing, but yeah, they've had a couple other world players, but they definitely need Banchero back if they really want to challenge for that one of those 4 or 5 spot in the East.
All right. Speaking of the schedule, let's get into the schedule for tonight and for this weekend from the association. As I mentioned earlier, tonight, the first game of that Amazon Friday night doubleheader will feature the Lakers and the Celtics from TD Bank North Garden at 6 o'clock. Other games are as follows for tonight. Orlando will host Miami, the Battle of Florida. Denver will travel to Atlanta to take on the surprising Hawks. San Antonio will travel to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers, the rematch of the 07 finals. The Utah Jazz will travel to MSG to take on the Knicks. Charlotte will take on Toronto. This is a back-to-back situation for Toronto after losing a tough one last night to the Lakers at home. As you mentioned earlier, the Indiana Pacers will play the Bulls for the second time in 2 weeks. Phoenix, after beating the Lakers on Monday, they'll be without Devin Booker for the next week or so. They'll travel to Houston to take on the Rockets. The Clippers will face Memphis. Philadelphia and Milwaukee without Giannis will do battle again tonight in Wisconsin. And the second game of the Amazon Prime Video doubleheader will feature Dallas. They've been playing very well lately, especially thanks to Cooper Flag and the return of Anthony Davis. They'll travel to OKC to take on the defending world champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And special note for that first game, apparently LeBron's experiencing arthritis in his left foot, so he is out. So yeah, I'm sure the Prime Video folks are probably pissed about that. No Luka, now low LeBron against Boston. So sorry, tomorrow's games, you got the Pelicans and Brooklyn. You got Atlanta and Washington. The lone NBA TV game, you got Golden State and Cleveland, Milwaukee and Detroit, Sacramento and Miami, the Clippers and the T-Wolves. That might be a sneaky good one, and another sneaky good one in Texas. The battle there, you got Houston and Dallas.
All right, and your schedule for Sunday during football, NFL Sunday looks like this. Orlando will travel to New York to take on the New York Knicks at MSG. The Celtics and Raptors will do better north of the border in Canada. The Nuggets will continue their East Coast road trip. They'll take on Charlotte. Portland will continue their road trip. They'll take on Memphis. The Golden State Warriors will travel to Chicago to take on the Bulls. Hopefully, Steph Curry will return for that one. Hopefully, we'll see. The Lakers, whoever is available to play, they'll take on Philadelphia. And the Oklahoma City Thunder will take on the Utah Jazz in the state of Utah. That's your schedule for this Sunday and for this weekend from around the association.
Our number 1 in the books. Number 2 is coming up here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Detroit gets a big win against Dallas. College football, you got championship weekend and a little college hoops as well. We got a couple of matchups coming up this weekend and a whole lot more with our Christy Man from KXRB as we preview NFL Week 14 and our pick'ems coming up. LaKeena, McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. More fun coming up right after this.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Chi. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
How do you take care of your mind health?
For my mental health, I meditate in the mornings.
I have my dogs. They're the best.
I just find ways that help me just relax.
Finding things that make me happy, like being close to my family.
I meditate a lot and read books.
I have hobbies outside of the game. I'm able to switch off. I'm able to turn my brain off from the game of basketball.
Your mind health matters.
Your mind health matters.
It's a romance sport. What? It's a romance sport like that.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, no matter where we serve, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Everybody in a work zone is someone somebody.
This is my mom. She works for KDOT.
This is my dad.
This is my mom.
This is my daddy.
This is my sister.
This is my daddy.
This is my son, Scott. He was killed while working in a highway work zone. When you drive through a work zone, drive like a life depends on it. Because it does.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports on the hashtag Football Friday edition. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid the Kid here, LaKeena McGee there. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can find LaKeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and here's again, IG.
As we kick off hour number 2, talking baseball, but first, previewing college football's championship weekend. If you have any questions or comments regarding those subjects to kick off hour number 2, you can definitely hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you.
Not to mention the coaching carousel, but we'll get to that in a second now. The scheduling, of course, you've got championship weekend. So it's going to be very interesting to see with some of these matchups you got going on tonight, and should be a lot of fun. Now you got a Sun Belt Championship. You got the Troy Trojans against the number 25 James Madison Dukes. The first time in the championship game since joining the Sun Belt a couple of years ago. Talk about James Madison. That should be a good one on ESPN at 6. On CBS Sports Network, you got Kennesaw State. This is their 4th year in D1. They face Jacksonville State in the Conference USA Championship at 7 o'clock. ABC giving a little love to the American as the North Texas Mean Green. That's our girl Layla Rahimi from The Score. That's her alma mater as they face Tulane. The Green Wave. That should be a fun one down there in New Orleans. And the Mountain West Championship on Fox. You got UNLV and Boise State at 7 o'clock. All at 7 o'clock tonight on Fox.
I want to focus in on the American Championship game first. North Texas, that ranked number 24 in the country. Tulane, quietly ranked number 20 at 10-2. In my opinion, Drew Maker has had a great year, 29 touchdown passes and only 4 interceptions. But I think he needs to control the pace for North Texas. I think he needs to keep that Tulane Green Wave defense on his heels. think he needs to be just a little bit more accurate against that better defense. Has his tech. I'm not going to say they're going to win the game comfortably, but I think that North Texas will have the slight edge there. Also, to watch out for Caleb Hawkins, North Texas running back. 23 rushing touchdowns on the year, off of 1,200 yards. And their star wide receiver, Wyatt Young, 10 receiving touchdowns on the year, off of 62 receptions. North Texas has the offense, but facing that Tulane defense is going to be a challenge for them. But I think that North Texas just has a little bit more, in my opinion, and I think they'll win this game by field goal.
Should be a good one over there. Now, I'm kind of interested to see, especially with that that Sun Belt championship between James Madison and Troy. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here, what their mindset is, because it's just going to be kind of like that thing where, it's going to be sort of like one of those things where you wonder, okay, what the mindset of the team is, because like I said, the head coach is leaving. We'll talk about that in a minute here. But yeah, I think that's going to be interesting to see what they want to see them go out on top, winning this, or perhaps maybe they have an outside shot to get into the playoff, but I guess a lot has to happen ahead of them. But it'll be interesting to see what happens out there in Virginia as they host Troy. Now going to Saturday, this is going to be where it gets weird. In the MAC championship, Miami of Ohio, the Fighting Big Bens, they face Western Michigan at Ford Field. That's going to be on ESPN 11 a.m. And at the same time, for the Big 12 championship, we got BYU and Texas Tech. Now, incidentally, Texas Tech, they beat BYU pretty easily. I know the score had it close, but Texas Tech, yourself a field goal is very early on, so that could have been a blowout. So we'll see what happens in this matchup. But Tech, if Tech beats BYU, that's when things kind of get a little bit crazy down there in college football playoff. Teams like your Miamis, those teams are probably going to be cheering hard for Texas Tech, to perhaps, especially if they blow up BYU like they did a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think this has the potential. I know it's going to be in Jerry's World down there in Arlington, Texas. I think this has the potential to be a high-scoring game for BYU. We all know they can put up points. Bear Bachmeier has 14 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. He's going to have to protect that football, in my opinion. But they're going to have to lean on L.J. Martin, their star running back, 11 rushing touchdowns on the year. I think look for him to have a big game. But on the flip side for Texas, they can put up points too. Caleb Dullox, their star wide receiver, 7 receiving touchdowns on the year with 53 catches. He's going to have a big game, and they're going to keep BYU off the college football playoff.
Going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Now, another game, the big one in the SEC, you got number 3 Georgia and Alabama. Of course, Alabama beat Georgia in their first meeting about 6 weeks ago. But there's been they've had a lot of injuries since. And I think what's really going to be like the thing here for me, of course, you got Jam Miller, who is their tailback. He was a big reason why Alabama did beat Georgia the first time. Of course, he was suffering with a lower leg injury, so it looks like he could be out for tomorrow. So that could help Georgia a little bit there. And I know that Kirby Smart had actually gotten his revenge on Alabama. So the 2 wins they got against Alabama have been in SEC championship games. 2 of those three wins that he got. So yeah, I'm wondering, could that be the case here, especially with some of their guys, being out for Alabama?
I think this is going to come down to the running games for both of these teams. As I told you that Georgia, they're a good team, but they haven't been that Georgia dominant team as we've seen over the last few years. I know their quarterback, I'm talking about Georgia's Stockton, has been playing very well this year, but I think he's going to be in for a very tough day. The Alabama defense is very athletic and very tough, and Georgia's going to have to protect that football. On the flip side for Georgia's offense, of course, you have their star running back, Nate Frazier, 5 rushing touchdowns on the year. I think that Georgia is going to have to ride him hard, no pun intended, to take that pressure off of Stockton. On the flip side for Alabama, Ty Simpson, if he has a big game right here, I think this is going to basically put his candidacy at the top spot for that Heisman Trophy award in a couple of weeks in New York City. And also their star wide receiver, Jeremy Bernard, 6 receiving touchdowns on the year. I think he's due out for a big game too. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to get physical at times too. I think Alabama just have enough weapons on offense to make the big plays down the field. I'm taking Alabama here, even though Georgia's favored by 2.5. Realistically, I want Georgia to beat the crap out of Alabama, but I think Alabama has just a little bit more here. I'm taking Alabama technically in an upset.
Going to be very interesting to see what happens down there in Jerry's world. The Big Ten Championship, that'll be at 7 o'clock on Fox. You got, well, this is a matchup that a lot of people wanted earlier this season. They're going to do that. You got number 1, Ohio State against Indiana. And like I said, I think Indiana's already getting, not getting a lot of love. So I'm wondering if Kurt Singini is going to make sure that his guys get the factor in here, and then they may use it as motivation.
Yeah, like Indiana was in the spot last year, surprise team in college football. They weren't getting any respect either, and we saw them get into college football playoff before Notre Dame sent them home packet. But this year, they come back as a better team. They shut a lot of people up, including yours truly. Now they're 12-0, playing for the Big Ten championship again. But I think for Indiana's quarterback, Fernandez, I think if he has a big game, I think he's going to squeeze into that top 2, top 3 invite to NYC in a couple weeks for the Heisman Trophy. On the flip side, for Ohio State, Julian Saint has had a great year at QB, 30 touchdown passes to 5 interceptions. But I think the key here is their running game. Bo Jackson, no, not the Bo Jackson from the 80s and 90s. The Buckeyes star running back didn't quite reach 1,000 yards rusher this year, but he's a big bruise, and I think he can dictate the pace of this game. Now, with the wide receivers, Jeremiah Smith for the Buckeyes, 11 receiving touchdowns on the year. I want to see how the Hoosiers defend him. Will they play a lot of zone, or will they will they go man to man, or have some double teams on him to control his target percentage throughout the game? So I think the chess match is going to be in play here. Indiana's defense against Ohio State's offense, in particular, Jeremiah Smith. How will they defend him throughout this game?
Going to be very interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, it should be a fun one over there in Indy. All right, going to the ACC Championship on ABC. I don't think anybody had either one of these teams, in the ACC title game. You got Duke and Virginia. Now, Virginia, some people feel in Virginia that they could perhaps maybe get one of those spots should they beat Duke. I mean, I guess if you so I don't know, but yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely, look, hey, Miami, sorry. Look, you lost to Louisville, so sorry. And, but yeah, I don't know. But again, look, Duke's been pretty good all season. I don't think they're not going to get to the college football playoff, obviously, if they beat them, but they'll probably get one of the big New Year's Six bowls, but the other new big bowls. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to see what happens from here. But yeah, I'm wondering what's going to be the mindset here for Duke. I know Manny Diaz has done a great job with that Duke football program, and that they looked really good. So who knows? They could pull off the upset against Virginia tomorrow.
I can't believe this is the same team talking about that Illinois beat the crap out of in North Carolina back in September. This is the same team, right, LaKeena, unless I'm missing something?
Yeah, this is same. Yeah, that's the same Duke squad. Yep,
the same team. And now they're on, and they're playing in their conference championship game. But I'll be honest with you, LaKeena, I don't know too much about Virginia. Just like Georgia Tech, I know Georgia Tech at the start of the year they were a surprise, one of the surprise teams in college football this year, especially coming out of the ACC. But not too much. I don't know too much about Virginia, but outside of their star running back Jamari Taylor. He's 3 yards short of 1,000 yards for the year, but he has 14 rushing touchdowns. He makes that offense go for the Cavaliers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they could ride that train with Mr. Taylor one more time, I think they could pick up this victory. They're currently favored by 4, but if they lose here, LaKeena, like you said, I think their college football playoff post lies with a fingernail, thumb fingernail. Okay, but if they win this game, depends on what happens earlier tomorrow. It's still going to be a very good year, but you just got too many teams that have better records than them and with much better resumes for them to sneak in.
Yeah,
it's just a numbers game. It really is.
It really is sort of one of those things where it is definitely a numbers game, and like I said, it could be. I don't know. I mean, look, you got your here are your if I can find it. This is not helping, but here are your top 12 as of right now, as of we're recording this. You got Ohio State, Indiana, that's 1 and 2. Then you got Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, Notre Dame, BYU, and Miami. And so it's gonna be interesting to see, could perhaps, like I said, depending on what happens tomorrow with the Tech BYU game. Do they get kicked out and Miami sneak in? Or maybe depending on what happens in some of the other games, could Alabama fall depending on what happens against Georgia? Who knows? So yeah, it's going to be kind of weird how all this sort of shakes out, especially with the playoff and such, because you got some of these teams that are not in their conference championship. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, that's really going to be the big part of what's going to happen.
One more game I wanted to discuss with you, and that's tonight's Mountain West Championship game. That's at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Fox. 10-2 UNLV versus 8-4 Boise State. Of course, everybody thought that Boise State were going to fall off because of Asher Genty now doing his thing in the NFL. But Dylan Riley, the Broncos' star running back, 10 rushing touchdowns on the year, over 1,016 yards. But on the flip side, for the running Rebels, they start wide receiver Jaden Bradley, only 4 receiving touchdowns on the year, but I think he needs to have a big game if UNLV needs to UNLV rather wants to pull off the upset.
Now, boys, they did beat UNLV earlier in the year, but again, that's definitely a different UNLV squad than they have had. So they did lose a couple. So they've had a couple of hiccups. Talking about Boise State. So yeah, they could be had. Now they do get them at I guess the way they did it this year, I guess because they went by a better conference record and other tiebreakers. So I think that's if you're UNLV fan, you're pretty much pissed that you're not hosting this game because even though you got a better overall record. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting what happens tonight. But like I said, neither one of these teams are gonna go to the playoff, so it really doesn't matter. But just for me, for bragging rights purposes and such, so it's gonna be interesting what happens here. I see that BYU is favored by 5.5. That might be a little bit of a high number, but again, we'll see.
All right, you listen to Second City Sports Zone Chicago. Sid LaKeena here with you. Let's jump back into the NFL and review last night's 44-30 win by the Detroit Lions over the Dallas Cowboys in Ford Field in Motown. LaKeena, Dak Prescott, a couple of touchdown passes, 376 passing yards. On the flip side, for Detroit, Jahmyr Gibbs, he's been playing his best ball of the year, 3 rushing touchdowns. And basically, he put that game away with that touchdown to have them go up by 14 late in that game. LaKeena, we talked about the Dallas Cowboys defense being average at best for the last 2 or 3 weeks. It definitely took a step back last night as the Detroit regained their form, keeping their slight playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, very slight, but it was also a costly win for Detroit, as no one of their guys in that secondary for that defense. That defense, well, the secondary part of it anyway has been decimated by injuries, and unfortunately that's been the case again last night, and just unfortunate. Brian Branch, who's been like one of their kind of kept everything afloat with that their safety. He tore his Achilles unfortunately in the 4th quarter, so. Again, that's another issue for that defensive backfield for Detroit. So I'm kind of concerned about that. But again, you get a big win against Dallas. They were the hot team, coming in late. So, Golf had a TD pass and such. So, yeah, David Montgomery, but there was Jahmyr Gibbs. He had 3 rushing TDs. So for me, yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what happens here. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to see what happens here with the upset, though.
Yeah, the Detroit Lions, they'll travel to Los Angeles to take on the Rams next week. The Dallas Cowboys, looks like the tie is going to work against them because they do not control their own destiny anymore. And should Philadelphia beat the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday Night Football, the Philadelphia will regain some confidence and perhaps wrap up the NFC East title within the next 2 or 3 weeks. The Dallas Cowboys must win out and get some help if they're going to make it to the playoffs, or if they should win the division. They're going to have Philadelphia continue their downslide. So big loss last night for the Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches for 121 yards. He got injured. George Pickens only 37 yards receiving. That's inexcusable. My God, Javonte Williams had 17 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown. But LaKeena, as I said just a second ago, their defense was shredded by Jared Goff last night. You shouldn't be too surprised, but Dallas couldn't overcome their 2 early turnovers. And as we talked, you just mentioned this just a second ago, the Lions secondary has been trash all year. The Cowboys could have done a little bit more, but Detroit, because they were at home, they had the momentum. They pick up the 2 touchdown victory.
All right, let's see what Detroit does from there, and then we'll see what happens there. As you again, this is CFB Sports on Sports Chicago. LaKeena, McGee, Sidney Brown with you as we talk some more stuff before we do our picks with our girl Christine from KXRB. She's coming on with us in a little bit here. Let's see, what can we talk about? Okay, well, we'll do. You know what? Okay, we'll do. We'll call myself an audible here. We'll do baseball first, since really some of the big news before the Riddle Mini is coming up this week. Of course, Dylan Cease, he got a big contract from Toronto. That's beefing up that starting rotation. I think they could definitely use more. So I think that was a nice get from him. So that good for him. And whatnot. And Anthony Kay and a nice left-hander pitcher. The White Sox, they agreed to a 2-year deal for $12 million with a club option for a third. So 1.74 ERA over 155 innings. He was playing in Japan last season. Well, this past season. So this could definitely help the White Sox, especially beefing up that rotation.
Yeah, how much was Ishbia's money hidden in disguise, and how much is this Reinsdorf's money? All I have to say about this signing is good luck to the young man. I hope it works out here. I know that the White Sox struck gold a couple years ago. Eric Fetty, former Washington National, he was pitching in Japan, and the White Sox picked him up. He actually did very well before they traded him off to St. Louis last year. Of course, he finished the year. I'm talking about Fetty with Atlanta this past season. So hopefully lightning strikes twice for the White Sox. I know that they're desperately in need of starting pitching. John DeCannon and Sean Burke both did not work out in the second half of the year. Both of them were sit down to the minors. Shane Smith, the former World 5 draft pickup, he became an all-star in his rookie year last year. Davis Martin is still going to be in a rotation. So the White Sox still trying to fill out the back half of the rotation. So and we'll see what this left-hander brings to the Sox team, because they're going to need a lot of starters to eat up innings.
And that's really going to be the thing here for the White Sox especially. So again, this is a nice pickup. Look, the guy can eat innings. That's what this White Sox squad needs, especially for that pitching staff. So I think this is going to be a really good, nice pickup for a nice veteran pitcher. He definitely has a great cutter. So I think this could be another thing that could definitely help. Miguel Rojas, he's going back to the Dodgers. So nice some news there. I'm sure Dodgers fans, I'm sure he himself also will be happy to have him back as well. And another trade real quick before we go to break. Johan Oviedo, the Pirates sent him to the Red Sox in a 5-player deal. So, I mean, the Pittsburgh is going to be an interesting place, because if you're Paul Schemes, and I guess, I'm wondering, is it get to the point where you're going to have to, do you even want to stay after that? Because it seems like they don't want to spend money, and they keep wanting to send the people that the guys that the decent players they do have, they want to send them out. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's $1 million question. They'll get answered at some point. Real quickly, Keena, before we take our break and bring on Christine. Devin Williams goes across the street from the New York Yankees after he lost his closer job. He goes to the Mets. What does this mean for Edwin Diaz, who's currently a free agent? And I'll just make this quick comment about Boston. They also picked up Sonny Gray to beef up their starting rotation. I like what the Boston Red Sox did there. But I want to get your comment real quick. Devin Williams going from the Yankees to the Mets. Does this mean that Edwin Diaz is on the way out?
Maybe. We'll see. Again, Yeah, I mean, look, he definitely. If you're Diaz, you're probably thinking, okay, yeah, I'm gone. Does he look? They need look. You can go across the way to the Bronx. I mean, look, they need a new closer now. So
yeah.
And
So we'll see.
oddly enough, though, they actually brought back their facial hair, so no more facial hair again. They actually got rid of the rule because of Williams. Now that he's gone, now they brought back the rule about no facial hair. So there you go.
As hot stove heats up, as you mentioned, with the winter meetings taking place starting next week. Take our 2-2 timeout on this hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports, the first one for the month of December, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Miss Christine, the Queen Manika, will make her return to her throne as she gives us her weekly NFL picks, and we got a lot to discuss in terms of viewership from the Thanksgiving Day games and a whole lot more. As you stick and stay right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Got it done here. Ouch! And we're gonna make sure you lit this time. Ouch! You're not gonna get me this time.
Ow, Manny!
Whoops! Let's try an easy one.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Hey, this is Corey McGee, and I listen to Sean and Maya on the morning show.
Welcome back to Second City Sports. The hashtag Football Friday edition. You're locked and loaded, and you're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's LaKeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG. It's SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow McGee on the Twitter, X, and again, IG.
Excuse me there. This is our last segment of the show for today and for the week. So if you have any last minute questions or comments of any of the topics that we discussed thus far in today's show, whether our NFL weekly NFL picks coming up. You can definitely hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you.
All right, so let's not waste any more time. She's our girl, your girl from KXRB in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She's the one, the only, fabulous Miss Christine, the Queen Manika. What's up, Christine?
Yes.
Hi. Happy Friday. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yes. Busy. Have right back at you. Did you have as well?
Warm. It was very warm. I enjoyed it very much.
Oh gosh, you're lucky. I know it was freezing. I'll say it was freezing here. So for the most part. So unfortunately, we weren't as lucky as you were, Christine. Now, now, fortunately, for me, unfortunately, I went over during our first 4 games, but I came back. I bring up the real. Unfortunately, I had 9. You and Sid had 11. And you guys are still tied again. You guys can't get away from each other, unfortunately. I bring up the rear again. So but again, look, we're kind of getting down to the last weeks of the season. So now we could definitely just get some separation between the 3 of us. So we'll see what happens with that. Now going into the first game, of course, you've got Atlanta hosting Seattle on Fox. 9-3 Seattle against the 4-8 Falcons. Sid, you start this one for us, please.
I told you 3 weeks ago when Michael Penix Jr. tore his ACL that the Atlanta Falcons season was over. They only won 1 game since then, and they're still going to be a terrible team. Kirk Cousins, the very expensive backup, he's going to wet the bed again. Seattle, they're challenging the Rams and perhaps the Chicago Bears for the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. Seahawks are 7-point favorites on the road. They get it done. I'm going with Seattle.
Yeah, same here. Seattle on the road. That's a pretty easy decision for me.
Yeah, same. This is probably one of the easiest games for me to pick. So yeah, Seattle, keeping it short and sweet. Now, an intriguing one here. Now, I will be watching this game via this computer screen. The Steelers and the Ravens, both 6-6. And maybe perhaps control the AFC North. Christine, you start this one.
It is an intriguing game for a lot of different reasons, but I am going to go with the Ravens for this one. Aaron Rodgers just looks very defeated. I think that's the proper word to say. And it was about this time last year, too, that it was, I'd say week 9 all the way up until this point where he just wasn't looking good. And kind of the same is going for this season for him, too. And the Ravens, they're a decent team, and I think they could take on the Steelers defense.
Who's your pick?
I said the Ravens.
Okay. I'm going with Baltimore too. Whoever wins this game. Yeah, whoever wins this game will win the AFC North. Baltimore's offense can be schizophrenic at times, but since they're at home, it's usually close between these 2 rivals. I expect another close game here. Baltimore comes out on top. Baltimore's currently favored by 6 at home.
Christine, you guys are going to get this out there in Sioux Falls, so you will be watching this one for better or for worse, I guess. I know Baltimore. I know Lamar Jackson's been in and out. I know he did fully practice today, so that should help them a little bit there. And I think they want to redeem themselves after what happened against Cincy last week. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Baltimore, make it a total sweep. All right. Jesus. This one in Cleveland, the toilet bowl. You got the Titans and Cleveland. I mean. I feel bad for the ones going to watch this on Fox. Sorry about that. I guess since Myles Garrett has a lot to play for because we still got that sack record, still see the sack record to play for. If nothing else, Cleveland. That's all I got.
I would go with Cleveland. I mean, honestly, Shedeur is not a bad looking quarterback. Like, he actually is pretty decent. I even said when he got drafted in the 5th round that he is way better than the 5th round pick. It's just, just things that he says, his antics kind of turn people away. But for him, he's looking pretty good out there. So he should have a good showing against the Titans, I think. So going with the Browns.
Yeah, I'm going with Cleveland too. Shedeur Sanders versus Cam Ward. It should be a battle for the ages. I'm using air quotes here. So Cleveland is favored by 4.5. The Browns defense will come up big at home.
All right, now most of the nation will get this game on CBS, and I believe let's see, I'm trying to see if we the Chicago will get this one. I think a very small pocket of the Midwest and the Southeast, and I think parts of course in Houston, because they'll have a lot to want to watch this game. In the AFC South, you got the Colts and the Jags. Sid.
As I said on our show last Monday, that the Colts looked very different against the Houston Texans. Why? Because quarterback Daniel Jones, as Christine calls him, Indiana Jones, he's going to look very different between now and whenever the Colts season is, because he's playing on it with the injured fibula. The Colts are running that RPO to start the year with him. Not anymore. And that Jaguars defense is quietly sneaky good, and they've been putting up some points on the flip side on their offense. This game's in Jacksonville. Indianapolis is favored by a point and a half. Instead of pick 'em. My pick 'em is going to the Jaguars. The Jaguars just have a roll right now. As I said a couple weeks ago, with the Indianapolis blowing that game in Kansas City, tough times ahead for them. They're going through it right now, and I think the tough times continue. I'm going with Jacksonville.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing to see them get that loss against Kansas City. They honestly could have won that game. They really could have. And I think they could still beat the Jaguars too down in Jacksonville. I know that Danny Jones has a broken fibula right now. I hope that gets better for him, but the fact that he's willing to play and he's holding his own out there, it shows how tough he is and how much he wants to play for this team. I'm sticking with the Colts.
Yeah, I'm going with Jacksonville here because, like I said, that was a very disappointing performance the last couple of weeks between the Colts, between the Chiefs loss and now, of course, last week he losing to Houston. I think the wheels starting to fall off, literally and figuratively, down there in India. I think Jacksonville is starting to kind of creep up a little bit. They're on the come up, so yeah, I'm picking the Jags for this one. So, sorry, Christine, but yeah. Well, look, if the Colts beat the Jags, and the Jags go back to meet the Jags, look, I wouldn't be surprised. So, it is what it is there now. The Underachievement Bowl, as I call this one, you got the Vikings and the Commanders. And, well, I mean, I don't know what to say about that. Well, I don't know, but I've got nothing for this one, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, I guess since they're home, well, it looks like Jane Daniels is a go, so he'll be back for the first time in a few weeks. I don't think it's going to make a difference. So I think W is probably this is a 9-6, 10-7 kind of deal. So I guess only because they're at home, I'll pick in Minnesota.
JJ, he's still a young quarterback for all intents and purposes. He is a rookie. He was there last year. He didn't play, didn't see any action on the field. So he is experiencing your typical rookie season for any NFL quarterback. I do think that the Commanders are going to be able to pull this one out on the road. I have a question mark attached to it. So I don't know what's all going to transpire, but it's just been a tough year for the Vikings this season. And even though they're at home, I'm going to go with the Commanders with the surprise here.
Let's make it 3 for 3. I'm going with Washington as well. They're currently favored by a point and a half, which means Vegas has it at a pick 'em.
No, I picked Minnesota. So
I was going to say, Sid.
I picked Minnesota. Yeah, I picked Minnesota.
Okay. I'm sticking with Commanders, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, I only picked Minnesota because they're at home. I guess somebody's got to win this game, obviously. So,
watch your end of the tie.
Which could happen.
Right.
You never know. It could happen. All right, now, I guess in a treatment here, kind of, sort of. Both these teams are hot lately. Christy, you start this one. You got the Dolphins and the Jets. Incidentally, though, our buddies Pro Dudes will have the call of this game for CBS.
I think it's kind of interesting, the Dolphins season, because at first they were taking a nosedive, and now all of a sudden it looks like Mike McDaniels is getting another contract next year, with the way that they keep on winning. So we'll see how this game goes. I feel like the Dolphins are going to have this one. I'm picking the Dolphins.
The New York Jets are currently on a 2-game winning streak at home. These young guys are starting to finally start to play for Aaron Glenn. Some of y'all wanted him out in the middle of the year, even though it's the first year head coach. We told you that was going to happen, and look what's happened since they responded. Yes, they're 3-9 overall, but as I mentioned, they are on a current 2-game winning streak. On the flip side for the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa has a record of 1-7, including a playoff loss at Kansas City a couple years ago, with a record in the cold. Dolphins usually don't play well in the cold. I expect that trend to continue with this Dolphins franchise struggling in the cold. I'm going with the New York Jets. The Dolphins are currently favored by 2.5 on the road.
I've got Miami as well. I just think that, yeah, I know the Dolphins don't play well in the cold, but again, I think this could be one of those intriguing matchups. You never know. So yeah, it's gonna be just see what happens down there in South Beach. The Saints 2-10 against the Bucks. I know the Saints played them close in their first meeting in September, but I think the Bucks. Yes, I know. Mike Evans is going to be out still. He's going to be out another week. I know Wirfs is out. Tristan Wirfs out as well. But I think Tampa should have no trouble with this one, especially they got the Carolina breathing down their necks. I think I'm going to pick Tampa for this one.
I feel like this is going to be an easy 3 for 3 for me. This was an easy pick. The Bucks.
Tampa Bay needs to establish their running game once again. They kind of did that last week against Arizona. They need to do it again here again against a tougher opponent in the Saints. So I'm going with the Buccaneers there, and the Bucks are currently favored by 8.5 at home.
All right, now most of the nation will get this one on Fox's Power, the doubleheader. The Bengals, the way they dominated Baltimore last week on Thanksgiving, and against the Buffalo Bills. They're starting to kind of find a groove a little bit. So, Christine.
I'm going to pick Buffalo for this one. It's a home game. And, this is, I would say, one of the bigger games of the year for the Bills. And Joe Burrow this would be his second game back on the field. It's going to be a good matchup. I feel like they're going to be putting on a good show. Again, Joe looked pretty good last week. And now the Bills have to step up and win like the team that they are predicting to be.
Joe Money, as Christine would say, he had a big performance last week on the road. I think he'll put up some decent numbers, but the Bengals defense has been trash all year, and I expect that to continue. Josh Allen and James Cook, the running back, I think both those guys will have big games. So I'm going with Buffalo here. They're currently favored by 6.
Key to short and sweet Buffalo. Like I said, I just think Cincinnati. I know they played it better, but they're kind of stepping up in the competition class. So yeah, Buffalo should win this one pretty handily. All right, so going to the 3:00 games, you got the Broncos against the lowly Raiders.
I'm surprised Pete Carroll has some hair on his head after a 2-10 start to the season. On the flip side, the Broncos are 10-2, battling for the number 1 position in AFC next to New England Patriots. I know Chris is happy right now. I don't know if he needs to watch this game because I'm going to give him a prediction right now to make his life happy. I'm going with the Broncos. Enough said. They're currently favored by 7.5 on the road.
I mean, look, he's happy enough, but they honestly could have lost that game last week against the Commanders. And everyone, when we were watching it with a couple of friends, they were pretty much waiting for it to go into overtime because that's just a typical thing that the Broncos would do. And I hope they don't put on those same moves like what they did last week, because then my husband's going to have a heart attack. I'm going to go with the Broncos here. Hopefully they should get this one.
Yeah, I think they got caught looking ahead a little bit. So yeah, I think they should be able to win this one against the lowly Raiders. So they shouldn't have no trouble with them. All right. The other game on Fox, like I said earlier, unless you're in Southern California or in most of Arizona, you're going to get this matchup. So you're the only ones who are going to get this one for the doubleheader on Fox. The Rams and the Cardinals. Kyler Murray is done for the year. Marvin Harrison Jr. is out with Harrison Jr. is out with Harrison Jr. is out with a foot injury. Yeah, they should have no trouble. I'm talking about the Rams. So they should, especially after what happened last week, they're going to take it out on Arizona. I'm going to pick the Rams. That's what they should win pretty easily.
Keep it short and sweet with the Rams.
I'm going with Los Angeles as well, especially after they got embarrassed at Carolina last week. They'll have a bounce back win as they go back out on the road once again. And the Rams are currently favored by 8.5.
All right, and the tricky Sunday nighter should be a good one down in Kansas City. The Texans, after upsetting, well, I guess if you call it upset, the Colts. The Chiefs, after losing last week on Thanksgiving to Dallas. All right. You know what? The defense for that Houston defense has been really solid. lately. I know they played the Chiefs very close last year. I think they should be able to take care of business against Kansas City. I'm picking Houston. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna pick Houston here in the somewhat mild upset.
I thought about picking the Texans, but I can't see the Chiefs winning or losing, I should say, another big game like that. Because that game for Thanksgiving last week, I saw it had like 57 million views. Like those numbers just came out. It's one of the most watched games ever in the NFL, which is crazy to think about. And I can't see them not winning another big game like this, like the Sunday Nighter. I think they're going to be able to pull this off, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ties either.
I'm finally jumping on the Houston Texas bandwagon. CJ Stroud is back, even though he struggled last week in his first game back in a few weeks. As you mentioned, LaKeena, that Texans defense is physical, is good, is strong. Kansas City, they're a long ways away from controlling their own destiny as far as getting into the playoffs. One more loss, and I believe they're out. So I'm going with Houston and amount upset here. Kansas City is currently favored by 3.5 at home.
All right, now a good one for Monday Night Football. Perhaps maybe a playoff preview, maybe an NFC Championship preview. Who knows? You got the Eagles and the Chargers. Both teams hoping. I don't know what's going to happen with this game. It really is a toss-up. I know they've got. I think the Eagles favored by 3, which I find kind of weird. I know that the Chargers have had their various injury issues, especially on the O-line. Eagles, they might be angry. I might regret this later, but I'm picking Philadelphia.
I'm picking Philadelphia for this one, too. The Chargers have a little bit more of an injury list compared to what the Eagles have right now. And I know Jim Harbaugh is going to have some tricks up his sleeve for this game for sure. But Sirianni, he's also going to be playing this one, I feel like, pretty close to the vest just because of the embarrassment that they got from the Bears last week.
Yeah.
And I don't think he wants to have that happen again. I don't think you want to make those birds angrier than what they already are. So I'm going with the Eagles.
Let's make it 3 for 3 here. I'm going with Philadelphia as well. We don't know about the status of Justin Herbert on the flip side for the Chargers. If he doesn't go, Trey Lance will get the start for San Diego. So we call them the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles on this show. Philadelphia, they were embarrassed 2 weeks ago at Dallas, blowing that 21-0 lead. And of course, you mentioned last week with that loss against Chicago being dominated at home. So they can't make it 3 for 3, can they? But I think the Eagles will wake up here, especially having this mini bye and a couple extra more days to prepare. So I'm going with Philadelphia here. If they don't win this game, then the season's really going to go down in the twos for them. But I think they'll stop the bleeding for at least 1 week.
Yeah, well, I meant to say Super Bowl matchup preview. I should say the Eagles and the Chargers. But yeah, it should be a good one out there in Los Angeles at SoFi. All right, last but not least, the oldest rivalry of football. You got the Bears and the Packers, 325 on Fox. I'm sure it's going to get a big rating as well. Speaking of, we'll get to those Thanksgiving Day ratings in a second, Christine. But all right, so you start this one. Bears and Packers. Now, incidentally, though, they actually just posted the injury report. If I can get it up here. Let's get our girl Deanna Miller from ABC7 Chicago. I know she just retweeted it. Okay. All right, so Tyreek Stevenson, because of that hip injury, is out. Now, Robo Doomsday, of course, he was a late addition to the injury list with that foot injury. He's now out. Now, the good news is on the flip side, you got T. Edwards. He's back at it, so he's a full participant, so he's a go. So is Jalen Johnson, and also Kyle Manungai. All right, Sid, you start.
And now Tyreek Stevenson, the injury is going to be big, but Nashawn Wright, who's had a great year, congratulations to him for winning NFC Player of the Month. Him and Jalen Johnson, I think they're going to do a great job against the Green Bay Packers. Secondary is going to be challenging, but I think those two shall and will hold their own. We talked about it early in the show, LaKeena, about it's going to be a chess match between Matt LaFleur and Ben Johnson. The Bears are running off a big high, and rightfully so, after being the defending world champs in their home backyard last Friday from a national audience. Green Bay, I know some folks expected them to have the record that the Bears have this year, but Jordan Love got back on track last Thursday at Thanksgiving at Detroit. I think things are going to be just a little bit different for Jordan Love in those Green Bay Packers. They can rush the football. Micah Parsons is going to be causing problems on the other side for the Packers defense. If the Bears can get off the bus running early and set the tempo like they did last week at Philadelphia, they should come out on top. But if Caleb Williams decides to play quote-unquote hero ball and go back to what he did early in the year and trying to force plays and cause turnovers, it's going to be a long day for Chicago. Green Bay's favored by 6.5. I love the Bears in the money line all week, covering that number. I like the Bears to keep the momentum train going. I like the Bears by 3 points.
LaKeena, are you believing yet? I just gotta know. Are you finally getting them on your side?
You do your pick. I'll do mine last.
It's the Bears. I mean, I haven't been around rivalry week like this in a long time where there's so much hype, so much confidence and anticipation for it. It's probably one of the latest first meetings of the Packers and Bears in a season in a very long time. This is the first time they're meeting all season long, December 7th, which is beyond me. It's completely wild. 211th meeting overall. And I just think there's something with this team that just keeps them going. It's the coaching staff, it's the rookies, it's the veterans on the team. I know without Rome Odunze, that's going to be a tough loss, but there's a lot of other weapons that Caleb Williams has on his side, and I have all confidence in that. The Bears' defense is way better than what it was this time last season. Even when they beat the Packers last year on one of their last games of the season, their defense wasn't that good, and now they have they got some stronger weapons on that side too. So it's gonna be a great game. The numbers, like you said, are gonna be crazy. I'm sticking with the Bears. Bear down. I'm excited.
Yeah, but this is the best Bears Packers game. Well, anticipation of it for a long time. Both teams are over 500. Both teams are the top two, the tops in the NFC North right now. And look, I think the Bears have definitely made inroads and strides, but the last few weeks I've seen the Packers do the same thing. So again, this could be one of those matchups where it could come down to just the littlest play. Could it be a sack, a field goal, what have you? Look, I as much as I like the Bears a lot, but I'm picking Green Bay only because that Odunze injury. I was gonna pick the Bears, but that because I was back and forth on this all week, but I think because of the Odunze injury, that's going to be a big loss for that Bears squad. And look, I know Colson Level's been playing very well lately, but again, you got a solid secondary there, so it's going to be a close one. But I'm picking Green Bay, but I think the Bears will cover. How about that?
LaKeena still not believing. I hear the doubt still.
What? Look, I have a little doubtless. I guess that's a word, but yeah. But yeah, but it should, like I said, it should be a good one out there up there at Lambeau, and yeah, it's gonna be a big rating. So, and incidentally though, of course, last of the buys, okay, Carolina, New England, the Giants, and San Francisco all have got the late buys, so adjust your fantasy teams accordingly, and yeah, that's just kind of this weekend in Week 14 in NFL.
I'll make this prediction real quick. If the Bears win on Sunday, they're winning the NFC North. Enough said, because as we talked about LaKeena early in the show, that they passed the big test last week by beating the Eagles on the road. If they beat the Packers on Sunday, they're winning the NFC North. So that'll be my big prediction. Listening to Second City Sports on Chicago City, LaKeena and Christine. We just have a few minutes left. Let's get it over to baseball, Christine. Former White Sox pitcher Dylan Cease, he pitched with the San Diego Padres this past season, gets a 5-year, $200 million+ contract with the defending American League champion Toronto Blue Jays. Thoughts?
I was very surprised to see that. That was something that was not on my bingo card for the offseason of baseball. I saw the news right when we woke up, and I told Chris, I'm like, oh my gosh, like he got traded again. I would think that San Diego would have held on to him, but it's again very surprising. It is going to be good for Toronto, though. They're still a great team, and I think he's going to be a big asset for them.
Oh yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, look, that I guess unfortunately that starting rotation kind of came back to bite them in that World Series against the Dodgers. So yeah, I think having Cease there, a guy that can eat up innings, yeah, I think that could definitely help Toronto, especially with that starting rotation, especially on the back end.
Yep. Also, too, let's go to basketball. LeBron James, January 5th, 2007. Why do I mention that date? That was the last time he scored under a game that he scored under 10 points. Last night, he broke his streak of scoring 10 points or more, but the Lakers got the victory. Christine's husband, Chris, his Lakers got the victory over Toronto 123-120. Christine, I'll start with you, bringing it back here to Chicago. The Bulls, of course, there's been reports that they may be looking at they told Giannis over the summer to we don't need your services, we're not trading for you. And of course, early in the week, there have been reports that the Bulls front office they're trying to bring back Anthony Davis home from the Dallas Mavericks. This Bulls front office, they just frustrate you, make you want to shake your head. What is your observation about the Bulls? They started out 6-1. Now they lost. They haven't won a game in about 2 weeks, and they're currently 2 games under 500. Does this franchise get any better, or do you think it's going to be another so sorry ass season?
I think they're going to get it together. Any team has a bad losing streak, right? I mean, look at the Dodgers. They had a horrible losing streak for a significant period of time, and now they won the World Series. So I guess anything can happen, and it shows that the team is kind of serious. If there are talks with Giannis going on right now, or even Anthony Davis, he would still be a good asset for the team, I think. So it shows that they know that they have something, and I hope to see that spark come back in them. I know they lost a very close game over the holiday weekend. That was kind of disappointing to see on Monday. So yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Bulls and such. Now, speaking of those ratings, I guess if you can say, I guess I think what the final number was, about like 57 million for the Cowboys Chiefs matchup. And of course, the Packers Lions got about like 45 million, give or take. So big ratings on both fronts. So NFL is king, I guess, as it shows you why.
Yeah, I was very proud of myself over Thanksgiving. So we got a 2-year-old nephew, and his dad, our brother-in-law, he's a Eagles fan. And if it's one thing that the Eagles and Bears fans can agree on is not liking the Packers, right? So I'm telling our nephew, I just said, we want the team in the blue to win, not the yellow and the green. And his favorite question right now is why? And then I said, oh, they're just bad. They're bad people. Then he's like, why? And then I'm like, they're cheeseheads. And then my husband goes, well, that's not going to make any difference because he loves cheese. But I think we're getting him on the path of not being a Packers fan. So that's good. We're shaping his mind. We're shaping his mind in the right direction.
You got to start him young, I guess. You still got to start him young.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of cheese and food items and all that stuff, of course, Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson took off his shirt last Friday during his post-game speech with the team. One, I don't want to hear anybody else says that players don't listen to the media, because that's not true. Me and LaKeena, we've known for years that players do listen to the media, especially now with social media being around. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. I want to ask Christine this question. Would you have stood outside in the cold ass 20 degree below zero to get your free hot dog?
I think what I heard a lot of Bears fans say, it's a part of the fandom. It's a part of Chicago football. So yes, because I'm so hard stance on keeping the field outdoors and saying it's Soldier Field. Yes, I probably would have stood outside there to just be a part of that experience. It was so unexpected. I remember we were sitting inside this restaurant. We're watching this game, and there was so many Bears fans in this bar in California. I was so excited to see that and to see everybody else get excited about this team too. But then when they showed the shirt coming off, you can just hear the shock amongst everyone saying, "Oh my God, he actually did it! The city of Chicago is getting hot dogs now." I thought maybe it would have happened if they beat Green Bay, but you know what? Christmas came early for Chicago Bears fans.
Oh God, I love the Wiener Circle promotion. So yeah, it is definitely hilarious and well played by Coach Johnson. Now, speaking of keep up with the television theme, I guess Russell Wilson will be on CBS for their NFL today, and also I think their NFL pregame other pregame show coverage. While Jameis Winston will be featured on the Fox, they're both on the NFL Sunday and their pregame coverage as well. So you got, of course, the Giants are on bye this week, so it makes sense. But also, this could be an audition for both of them, perhaps maybe start off their TV careers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jameis Winston kind of already had that during the Super Bowl in the
Right.
offseason. He pretty much started his audition process right there, and he was fantastic. I hope he does get picked up eventually to be a TV commentator for whatever network would have him. It looks like Fox would be in that number one running. He just has a lot of personality, a lot of charisma. He gets excited about not just the game, but also the fans, the coaches, and just the whole NFL experience in general. I think he would be a great representative for any network. But again, it looks like Fox could be the top contender.
Yeah, when we talked about last year during the Super Bowl coverage, Jameis Winston did an outstanding job for Fox. Even if I'll be surprised if a network doesn't pick him up. But let's just say for hypothetical purposes that James Winston doesn't get picked up, I think he will be better than Shannon Sharp starting his own podcast because he will definitely draw in numbers, as you said, Christine. He has the ick factor. Obviously, he knows the game. He has personality, so that's going to go over very well. But I think Fox will be smart to pick him up because right now for their pre-game show, it's just Carissa Thompson, Julian Edelman, and Charles Woodson, and adding Jameis Winston for next year. If he decides to hang it up, there'll be a big boost to that Fox pre-game show. On the flip side for Russell Wilson, as our good friend Jay Hoover, ESPN 1000 always says, Russell Wilson is auditioning to replace Michael Strahan on Good Morning America.
Pretty much. That pretty much kind of says it, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how both men do there. Now, real quick, before I know we're up against it, but now if you guys are soccer fans, of course, the World Cup from next summer has most of the draw, and I was watching, I kept going back and forth through my phone because I was watching the draw. You had Shaq, you had Tom Brady and Wayne Gretzky. They were pulling. I guess Brady was having trouble opening the little tabs with the teams' names on them. But again, of course, U.S. is a nice draw on Group D. They got Paraguay, Australia, so they shouldn't have a draw. And I guess they're going to be the place in the winner of Kosovo, Romania, Slovakia, and Turkey. So they'll be playing one of those. It's just kind of crazy how all that kind of transpires. So if you guys see the replays, I'm sure it's going to be all over YouTube. But that whole day was just weird, I guess.
I'll have to look it up. Chris, did you see Tom Brady try to open up the World Cup envelope? Oh, he hasn't seen it yet. Okay, it's kind of funny. That's what LaKeena was just saying.
Oh, y'all should check it out. It was actually pretty funny and awkward at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you should definitely check it out. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of weirdness out there. The Kennedy Center out there just now and up in New York City.
I know we got a boogie, but real quick, 10 seconds. Congrats to the Chicago Blackhawks. They came back from a 3-0 deficit last Sunday at the UC to beat the Anaheim Ducks and Joe Quenneville's return. I know they lost the heartbreaker in the shootout against Las Vegas on the road on Tuesday, but they came back last night to beat the LA Kings 2-1. And they'll face the Kings again. Yes, I'm not making this up. They'll face the Kings again in Southern California tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So tune in. Connor Bedard, Spencer Knight in goal, Colton Dock, those rest of those young guys for the Blackhawks. They're going to be a better watch than the Bulls once the Bears season ends.
Definitely more exciting. Now, Christine, real quick, I know that College Football Playoff a selection show will be on Sunday. Does your Fighting Irish get in?
I know this whole rumor about BYU, if they win, blah blah blah. Notre Dame's gonna get in. I can say that with 75% confidence. Notre Dame's gonna get in.
I think she's right.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of Miami fans will say, "Hey, wait a second, no, look, we beat y'all, earlier in the year, so wait a second. If all things be equal, again, if BYU is, I don't think they will. I think Texas Tech will beat BYU, so I don't think I think both teams will get in, so it's all moot. But yeah, that's kind of like my argument of it. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. It's gonna be a lot of discussion, on Sunday morning, late Sunday morning, going to the afternoon.
All right. Any last minute thoughts, Christine?
Stay warm and go Bears.
On that note.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's gonna be cold in a lot of these places. Yeah. So yeah, you can follow LaKeena McGee on the Twitter to get the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sidney Brown, on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And of course, if you miss our pick segment or if we have a guest on, no worries. You can catch Sports Zone Chicago's a replay anytime, anywhere. You can catch replays of our show, Sean Sierra Sports, the Smoke Fellows, and so much more. If you miss anything, don't worry. Our numbers have been up. Our replay numbers have been up lately. Thank you guys very much. So so spread the word. Catch Sports Chicago anytime, anywhere on Facebook and YouTube channels.
And we will provide. And real quickly, Keena, shout out and a happy birthday to our friend and colleague from WVON's the Fundamental Sports Show. You catch it tonight. Titus T.W. Williams had a birthday, so happy birthday, my man.
Yes. I gotta wish him happy. I know his birthday is today, so I gotta wish him happy birthday. A birthday text. Also, shout out to Chris Henry Jr., of course, a talented 5-star wide receiver, of course, the son of the late wide receiver Chris Henry Sr. He picked Ohio State. Then he was number 7 overall. A top 10 overall prospect on all the high school power rankings. So he picked Ohio State. Ryan Day gets another big time running back. So I know that I'll be very proud of him.
Yeah.
All right. So enjoy all the games. Enjoy all the college football weekend, championship weekend. You got college hoops, of course. I'm sure you got some games there this weekend. Of course, NFL. And NBA and so much more. NHL, of course, we'll see if there's going to be more baseball news. I know Christine's happy with the Anthony Kay signing for the White Sox as well. So you guys, enjoy all the sports. Like Christine says, stay warm out there and be safe out there, folks. For Christine and Sid, I'm LaKeena with Second City Sports on Sports Chicago, and we'll see you guys next week.
Fuck the Packers. Stop Bears. Holla!